The Ravindra Jadeja show continues in Australia. Back-to-back games now that the Indian all-rounder has managed to, in some ways, get India out of jail and give them something to bowl at. It's 161. Is that good enough at the Manukau Oval in Canberra? We'll find out. We'll also look back at that innings on ESPN Cricket for Matchday with Gautam Gambhir and Tom Moody. Let's start with that blitz from Jadeja at the end. Heck of an innings, Gautam, and it's given India something to bowl at.
Oh, very good. And especially when you can get 44 of 23 was brilliant. Because especially batting at number 7. At one stage, I was thinking that Australia might just restrict India to 140, 145 after Pandya got out. So getting those 15, 20 more runs from Ravindra Jadeja was absolutely fantastic from him.
I'll come to Jadeja's innings in a bit, but what's 161 like as a score itself, Tom?
Yeah, look, from what I understand, that they haven't played an international T20 at the venue, but they've played some big bash cricket there, and the average score in the number of games, which is only a small sample size, is around that mid-160s. So if that's anything to go by, India have got just a par score, maybe a tick under par. I agree with Gotham. I think they've got themselves out of jail, or let me rephrase that, Jadeja's got them out of jail because they're only looking at 140. But a brilliant 44 from him has managed to give them certainly something to bowl to.
Okay, let's talk about Ravindra Jadeja now. And I think this will be a conversation worth having. We'll come to the other elements of that first innings. But Gautam, I think we're seeing now a batsman who is in form, who has carried some good form from the IPL with the bat. Is this the best that you've seen Ravindra Jadeja bat in the shorter formats? And how can India now use this to their advantage?
100%. I think in what we always thought of Jadeja to deliver with the bat, and he's got that X factor. Now he's delivering. Sometimes people do flourish initially when they get into international cricket. Some people get mature over a period of time, and now you're seeing a mature Ravindra Jadeja who knows his ability with the bat. He's always been an unbelievable fielder. He can chip in with important overs, but now is the time where you can actually enjoy the fruits of his overall talent as well. So it's going to be very good for Indian cricket, because someone like Jadeja, if he can actually bat at number 7 the way he's batted in last 2 games, which is going to be great for Indian cricket, because we've been searching for an all-rounder who can actually chip in and can actually finish games like this, whether you're batting first or you're batting second. But then if you can have this kind of an impact batting, which is very good for Indian cricket.
You say 7. Can he bat any higher, though? Can he add to the balance of this team by being someone with the kind of batting form that he's in to actually bat in the top 6, to open up a position for get better balance to this T20 side, Gautam?
I would always want him to. I would always want him to bat probably at number 5 because and then you can have KL Rahul bat at number 4, Virat Kohli at number 3, KL Rahul number 4, and then Jadeja 5, Pandya 6, and then you can have another all-rounder at number 7. Use his form. See, again, my point has always been very simple on that front. If you make someone bat at number 7, he'll bat like a number 7. If you make him bat at number 4, number 5, he'll bat like a number 5 as well. And that is how it's always been with everyone. You ask someone to open the batting, he starts thinking like an opening batsman. So Jadeja, you got to use his form, and he's got the ability. We all know that he's got the ability. He's got a test 100. He's got runs in all conditions in white ball cricket. So why not just try and actually push him at number 5 and see whether we can work with that combination? Because if he comes good at number 5, you open up one spot, which actually you can play your number 6 bowler who can actually chip in with the bat as well. You can actually play another left-arm spinner like Krunal Pandya or Akshar Patel or XYZ. You just open up one spot, which India is desperately, till the time Pandya doesn't actually get fully fit to deliver a bowl, you want to have that spot where you can push in someone like Washington Sundar or XYZ. I'm not going to mention 1 or 2 players, but yes, Jadeja batting at number 5 will be a great thing for Indian cricket, especially in white ball cricket.
Tom, you know as much about this Indian team and the resources available as anyone. Looking at the questions that tend to come across in terms of balance of the T20 side, is this a moment now? Is this an opportunity for India to cash in on Jadeja, the batsman, at least in T20I cricket?
I think whilst Hardik Pandya is going through his rehab with his bowling, to me it's a very simple solution, and that is Jadeja bats in the top 6. Whether he bats at 5, 6, 3, whatever the number is, that's not the discussion. The discussion is creating balance for this Indian side. So whilst Hardik Pandya is not bowling and he cannot be accountable as a bowler, to me, Jadeja is a must in that top 6. It then gives them the flexibility to have the balance. Once Hardik Pandya, you'd hope in time, whether it's weeks or months, regains full fitness, You then have the flexibility to say, okay, well, we've got 2 genuine all-rounders now in our top 6, or you then move Jadeja back to number 7, and you've still got, that great balance, because you've still got that specialist all-rounder in your top 6. So now is a really good chance, particularly with 2 more T20s left, to be able to have that flexibility to open up the side and give Virat Kohli, the captain, a lot more options when he's in the field.
It is time for India to perhaps to look at this then. What they do with Jadeja from here will be interesting to see. We did see that he did limp off towards the end of that innings. If it was just something to do with the last couple of overs, we hope it won't. India would hope, rather, it wouldn't trouble them with the ball. They don't have too many bowling options. Let's talk about Australia's bowling, though. As good as they were for a large part of the innings, Tom, perhaps death bowling remains a concern.
It's a massive concern. In T20 cricket, if you don't have the right specialist to be able to finish the game, whether it's in the first innings or the second innings, you're going to lose more than you're going to win. It's such a critical component to any side, is to have the ability to shut the game down in the last 4 overs. Australia showed weakness in the ODIs in this area, and again this evening they've shown weakness in this area. We did bring this up as a potential challenge for Australia before the game started. Who was going to bowl those death overs? We knew Stark was. He's a specialist in that area. But there was Abbott and Hazelwood were the 2 other options. So they're not sort of seen as specialists in that area. So it is a concern for Australia moving forward, is finding who are those bowlers that are going to be able to bowl those death overs. If you don't get it right, I tell you, you're always going to be chasing more than you need to be.
It's funny, isn't it, Gautam? You just change formats. You think it's similar ground, and bowler like Josh Hazelwood, who bowled so well in the ODIs, gets a responsibility to bowl 1 at the death, and that's the sort of over that just changes momentum. 23 of that 19th over, that could be big in the context of the game.
See, again, Australia's best death ball bowler is not playing this format, and that's Pat Cummins. To be honest, I think, yes, we keep talking about someone like Mitchell Starc. He's going to be a bowler who's going to bowl in the death, but there is Pat Cummins as well, who's done really well, especially to shut the games off. But yes, you don't expect Josh Hazelwood to do that, because that's not his natural length, and he hasn't played so much of white ball cricket, to be honest, especially T20 format. So you've got to find someone who can bowl in the death, and people will. Mitchell Starc, the best have gone for runs, but at least there needs to be clarity of thought. If you see that 19th over, every ball was probably a length ball. Yes, Jadeja did manage to hurt him really badly, but imagine had they been Hardik Pandya at that time. Probably Jadeja was not even 100% fit. Some of those balls should have gone out of the ground as well, because of the length. Because that's not the length which you normally bowl in the 19th or the 20th over. And there was no mix-up either. So if you see Pat Cummins, I remember the second game at Sydney when he bowled to Hardik Pandya, and he kept bowling wide outside the off-stump. He kept changing. He used that bouncer really well. So probably Hazelwood needs to get that thing sorted, because he's a great bowler with the new ball. He can swing the ball. He's got those great test match length. But if he wants to be a permanent member in this T20 and one-day side, he needs to develop that death bowling skill and have something up his sleeves, at least a couple of variations, and probably the wide Yorker, slower bouncer, and all that stuff, because that is what the need of the format is. So yes, there's a little bit of work that needs to be done from the Australia's point of view, especially in the death overs, because Mitchell Starc also didn't look in the best of rhythms, what you expect Mitchell Starc to do, because when he's in good rhythm, he gets those Yorkers right in, and he's very consistent with those Yorkers. But if you see his 17th over, there were probably 4 or 5 full tosses. So neither did he look in the best of rhythms, neither was probably Josh Hazelwood. That's why India managed to get 160.
Now, if you look at the first 10, maybe 12, 13 overs of that innings, Tom, can you explain as to why India didn't get any real fluency there?
Yeah, it's very interesting actually, because they look like they set themselves up quite nicely. They had a nice platform to really launch a considerable total, and I just felt that they lost a little bit of rhythm against Moses Enriques. We've got to highlight his bowling performance.
Yeah.
You know, for him to bowl, what was it? He ended up with 3 for 22 on 4 overs.
Yeah.
There's no way in the world, if I said to you at the start of this game, oh, look out, Moses Enriques is going to bowl 4 overs for 1, you'd say you're joking. And 2, he's going to take 3 for 22. You'd think I'm sort of on another planet. So for him to be able to do that just through his little medium paces with subtle changes of pace, something has gone wrong with the way that India approached his bowling. Another thing can be learnt from that is that maybe, the fact is that, this surface, India may learn from the fact that if you take pace off the ball and bowl stump to stump, well, it is quite difficult to get the ball away. So, maybe he found the ideal pace, he found the ideal change of pace, and that's something that certainly Indian bowlers can learn from going into the contest with the ball.
Did it strike you as batsmen that with just their first outing of the series, Gautam, the likes of Manish Pandey and Samson, and therefore no real fluency achieved? What did you make of that period of play? Why did India not get off to the kind of start they should have?
Again, it's difficult because when you're on a tour and you're playing your first game, and when you come into bat, especially after the sixth over, it's a bigger ground as well. Two spinners bowling, then with Moses Hendricks as well, who bowls a lot of cutters as well. Sometimes it's difficult to get that rhythm because in a T20 format, you want those first couple of balls to actually hit the middle of the bat, and if one of those can go for a boundary, you just start getting that rhythm. It's all about T20 cricket is all about rhythm. You get the rhythm, you can just continue with that rhythm. But Sanju Samson still looked decent. I'm not going to get too much into Manish Pandey and Sanju Samson because it's still early days. The more they play, obviously it's just a 3 match series, but the more they play, the better they're going to get. And it's tough. T20 format is actually tough because you've hardly got time and you want to continue that momentum as well, because once you start thinking about a target that, you need 160, 170 batting first, you start putting that pressure on your own self, and you know that you haven't played enough cricket on this tour. So still, I think India managed to get a decent total and they've got something to bowl at. But my only concern right now here is that I hope Ravindra Jadeja is fit enough to actually take the field and bowl his 4 overs. That's got to be a massive, massive concern, because if he's not fit, then probably who's going to bowl those as a fifth bowler? It's only Hardik Pandya. So that's going to be trouble times for India.
Yeah, as we just look at other elements of that first innings, Tom, 1 for 20 for Adam Zampa. Mitchell Swepson just bowled 2, but got the wicket of Kohli in his first over. Would Kohli have walked back with that smile on his face, thinking, I should have played my leggy as well today?
Yeah, I think, to be fair to Kohli, I think the ball just bounced a little bit more than he expected. He, was looking for a pretty tame shot through the leg side. It bounced on him. Therefore, he got that leading edge back through to Swepson. The other interesting thing is that, that Kohli, his approach to T20 cricket, it intrigues me. We all know the genius of Kohli, but I also feel that when he walks into bat sometimes in T20 cricket, he puts too much pressure on himself to be the batsman at the end of the innings instead of really having the impact that he can have immediately. He can play all the shots in the book really from the get-go. And I just wonder whether India are better suited for him playing that more expressive type game, as soon as he walks to the crease.
It's a very interesting point. Gautam, tell me what you make of it. We know that Kohli's best maximized returns are when he plays long and deep into the innings. Then he could go ballistic in the last few. Does it call for a slightly different approach to Kohli, the batsman, who's we know is more than capable of taking it as soon as he comes out?
See, it's difficult, to be honest, because, Virat is at his best when he actually starts opening the batting, and at the same time when he has some runs behind his back, and then when he starts that inning and suddenly once the spinners comes on, then he can take them on. But suddenly if you get Virat into the innings and suddenly there are 2 spinners, because he doesn't have that power game, to be honest. And yes, he wants to have that start, especially in the first 6 overs, and then from there on he can take it on. But again, probably he could change a little bit of approach when he's got someone like KL Rahul batting at the other end and was batting really well as well. Yes, when there is Rohit Sharma, yes, he can be a little bit more aggressive as well. Probably from that point of view, you might be thinking that because there is no Rohit Sharma and Shikhar Dhawan has just got out, so one of the more experienced batsmen is not there. Yes, he can be more expressive, but there are times, look at his average, he's done really well in T20 cricket. He's got a decent strike rate as well. But yeah, it really depends on the surface as well and at the time when he comes into bat. If he actually comes into bat really in the first couple of overs, then he has time to use that first 6 overs, and then after the 6 overs, what he does best, he runs really well, and then probably he takes on the bowlers after the 14th or 15th over. But suddenly when he comes in by the 5th or the 6th over, so to actually gather that pace against the spinners straight on, probably sometimes he struggles to do that.
All right. Now there seems to be some sort of conversation going on at the Manica Oval right now between David Boone, the match referee, and Justin Langer and Aaron Finch. I'm going to try and get something out of it. We know that Jadeja's fitness or injury news is a bit of a concern, but I'll just come back to when I have more info on that. We should see Washington Sundar, I'm guessing, Tom, early on, and against a Darcy Short, who hasn't quite been as impressive when he's played Indian spinners in the IPL as he has been in the BBL. That should be a nice little contest to start things off.
It should be. If he's bowling up front, you'd expect that he would do. Again, it's a case of using your bowlers at their ideal positions. And Washington Sundar, to me, from whenever I've watched him bowl in the IPL, he's best suited with the new ball. He's brilliant, in those power play overs, and he's got certainly one left-hander to bowl to. So it does make sense that he does take the new ball, and I'd imagine his selection is based around the fact that he is going to bowl probably 2, and on a good day maybe even 3 in the power play.
Start with Washington Sundar and Deepak Chahar then, or is Mohammad Shami getting the new ball for you, Gautam?
I will still start with Mohammad Shami and Deepak Chahar, yes, and then probably keep Washington Sundar if there is nothing with the new ball. I'm sure there's going to be not too much with the new ball, but again, Mohammad Shami with the new ball and Deepak Chahar can actually strike early as well. Because you got to remember that there is Aaron Finch as well. If Washington Sundar is bowling at Aaron Finch with the right hander and with the kind of power he has, he's definitely going to take him on. So, and if Mohammad Shami can get it in the right area and there is some nibble off the wicket, he can actually trouble Aaron Finch as well. So, Virat Kohli's got a lot of options who to start with, and Washington Sundar probably can bowl the 3rd or the 4th over and probably the 6th over as well if there's another left-hander there. But then definitely start with 2 seamers.
No wrist spin for India, no Bumrah for India. Australia still favourites for you, Tom? 162 to get.
I think they're probably slightly the happier of the 2 teams at the halfway mark, but I think that innings from Jadeja has certainly brought it to a closer contest than what it should have been.
Gautam?
I reckon India. India's got runs on the boards, and if you see even the last one day, where Australia was in a position where they could have actually finished off the game when Maxwell was there, but they still managed to make a comeback. Australia doesn't have the same depth what they had in the previous one-day international. So probably India if Jadeja is fit.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up then, see how things go. We'll see if Jadeja can bowl. It looks like Justin Langer was annoyed at one of those no-ball calls by Josh Hazlewood, which did look touch and go in the first innings. We'll get more info on that, and it'll be on ESPN Cricket as soon as we find out. But thank you to Tom Moody and Gautam Gambhir. Get their thoughts at the end of this game. Let's see if India can defend 161 and take a 1-0 lead, or whether Australia take an impressive lead in this one like they did in the ODIs. Join us for post-match analysis on ESPN Cricket for Match 10. You can catch highlights, clips, the action, all the relevant big moments from the game as they happen if you're in the Indian subcontinent on ESPN Cricket 4. So don't miss that either.